I'm Angie Scott. I'm here on behalf of Racing Hearts. Racing Hearts is a nonprofit based out of California in the San Francisco Bay Area. I am also an AED expert. I am the AED coordinator for Santa Clara Unified School District. Out of this orientation, we want you to remember 5 key concepts. What is sudden cardiac arrest? What is an AED? How to use an AED? What are the laws and liabilities associated to AEDs? And what is your emergency preparedness plan that include AEDs? Racing Heart's mission is to increase awareness and access to automated external defibrillators, life-saving devices. We want to empower the people to be able to help someone who's suffering from a cardiac arrest by using this life-saving device, an AED. Sudden cardiac arrest happens to anyone at any time. It's a silent killer. American Red Cross says 350,000 people are affected every year. When you look at the graph and you look at firearms and you look at suicide, as well as all those other health concerns, they happen much less than sudden cardiac arrest. Sudden cardiac arrest is an abnormal heart rhythm. Normally your heart beats like this, but in a sudden cardiac arrest, it just shakes and it's not pumping blood throughout your body. The only way to stop that heart from shaking is to stun it from a shock, from an AED, allow that natural pacemaker to reset and take over and start beating again. When someone is in sudden cardiac arrest, they collapse and they are unresponsive. They might have abnormal breathing or gasping. In those first few seconds, the person could also be looking like they're having a seizure. Again, it's the shock from an AED that resets that heart when it's just shaking. It's the only thing that can do that. So you have a heart attack, which is a plumbing issue, clogged pipes, and it's the lack of blood flow to the heart. You have sudden cardiac arrest, which is an electrical issue, that it's like when your lights flicker on and off in your house very, very quickly. Together, neither of them are good, but know that 30% of the heart attacks can lead to sudden cardiac arrest. Now let's learn about AEDs. AEDs are a lightweight portable device that analyzes the heart rhythm. It solely will decide if a shock is needed. The pads in it need to be placed on bare skin, not on top of clothing, and time is of the essence. For every minute that that heart is not beating, it's a 10% less chance of survival. So it's about getting the AEDs quickly, putting those pads on bare skin, and being able to hopefully save someone who's suffering from a sudden cardiac arrest. Now let's take a look at the AED and its contents. When we open the flap, we open the unit. You have your AED unit. The pads are already plugged in. You have one set of pads here. You have a second set of pads here. They have to be sealed and closed because if they're open, they have to be used or thrown away. So we need to keep them all sealed up. You also have a pediatric key. The pediatric key is so that you can use these pads on someone who's 0 to 8 years old or 0 to 55 pounds. It's as easy as inserting the key into the unit. When you turn it on, it will reduce the amount of shock that is delivered through these pads. But know that for a pediatric, we got to have the pads in different locations. With your heart in the middle of your chest and nipple line, you got to have one pad here and one pad in the back between your shoulder blades. Therefore, the pads are separated and that shock will go right through the heart for someone who is 0 to 8 years old or 0 to 55 pounds. So then you also have a response kit. In that response kit, if you're trained in CPR, you have a mask, you have gloves, you have wipes, and you also have scissors. scissors. Time is of the essence. For every minute that that heart's not beating, it's a 10% less chance of survival. So you got to get in quick. Be ready to snip, rip, and put that pad on bare skin underneath that bra strap for a woman. Be able to snip, rip, and be able to put that pad on the side as quick as possible on bare skin at the base of the ribs. Being able to get in quickly. These scissors will cut through anything. You also have a razor. The razor is used so that if you have a hairy chest, you can be able to get an analyze and or shock from those pads. You're gonna probably only have to shave this one up here, and it's gonna be 1, 2, 3 swipes for this pad to stick to the skin. If it's blocked with hair, blow on it, rub it backwards on some clothing or on the rug. And so therefore you're doing 1, 2, 3 swipes. That's it. You might have to shave on this side location as well. So now let's learn how to use an AED. Here's our trainer. So when we open it up, we have the unit and we turn it on.
Remove clothes from patient's chest. When patient's chest is bare, open gray plastic case. Look carefully at the pictures on the white adhesive pads. Peel one white pad from the gray case.
This pad goes on the right chest.
Exactly as shown.
This pad will go on the left side.
To bare skin. Stay clear of patient.
Stand clear.
Heart rhythm.
It analyzes for 10 seconds.
Stay clear of patient. Analyzing heart rhythm. Shock advised. Stay clear of patient. Press the flashing orange button now.
Before we push the flashing orange button,
Deliver
we
shock
need to make sure
now.
everybody's clear.
Press the
Stand
flashing
clear,
orange
shocking
button
patient.
now. Shock delivered. Be sure emergency medical services have been called. It is safe to touch the patient. Begin CPR. For help with CPR, press the flashing blue button.
So now there's a 2-minute timer. From the time that it analyzes and or shocks, there's 2 minutes that go by before it will analyze or shock again. If the person's unresponsive, you continue with
1
CPR.
minute, 45 seconds until analysis will resume.
The other thing to think about is that if you have a patient who came out of the water, you are just going to dry off these 2 areas and nothing else. Time is of the essence, and we want to get
30 seconds
the pads on as quick as possible. So, an AED is the only thing that will reset a heart when it's just shaking. It stuns it and allows that natural pacemaker to hopefully take over. But it takes a while for this AED to get back to us. So to help this person survive and have a quality life afterwards, we need to keep that blood pumping to the brain so it eliminates or reduces brain damage. So American Heart Association says we can do hands-only CPR. And what that means is chest compressions only. It's the manual pumping of the blood to the brain that compresses the heart between the sternum and the backbone. Your heart is located at the center of the chest at nipple line, right here. So we're always going to put our hands on their chest like that. There are 4 words I want you to remember if you're dealing with a medical situation. Check, call, get, do. Check. We want to see if the person's going to respond. Hey, are you okay? No response. So now we're going to make sure that we get help. So you in the gray, can you please call 911? And so therefore medical personnel are going to arrive. So let's put both of those together. Hey, are you okay? No response. Hey, you in the gray, call 911. The third word is get. Get an AED. We want to get this life-saving device as quick as possible so that we can get this heart beating again. Remember, CPR is a holding pattern by keeping blood to the brain, but it's the shock from an AED that gets that heart beating again. So, It's you in the black. Get the AED and come back. It's in the main office. So let's put all three of those together now. Hey, are you okay? No response. Hey, you in the gray, I need you to call 911. You in the black, I need you to get the AED. So those are the first three steps. Now let's work on the fourth. Do hands-only CPR. Again, your heart is in the center of the chest nipple line, so the heel of our hand is going to go in the center of the chest. And we're going to press hard and fast. Hard is at least 2 inches deep, compressing that heart between the sternum and the backbone. And fast is to the beat of staying alive, staying alive. And it's 100 beats per minute. So we want to make sure we're going fast enough. So that is hard and fast. So we're doing hands-only CPR. So let's put those four together. Hey, are you okay? No response. You in the gray, call 911. You in the black, get the AED, it's in the office and come back. And now I start with hands-only CPR. Once you start with CPR, you're gonna continue. You don't stop until the AED tells you to, all right? CPR is very physical. You always wanna have more than one person helping you. You want one person on each side and you wanna be able to communicate. I'm getting tired, ready, take over. I jump out, they jump in, and you keep it going. Because the thing is that if you're not going deep enough and you're not going fast enough, you're not doing anything at all. So we want to keep that going. So repeat after me. Check, call, get, and do. We want to remember those four things when dealing with a medical emergency. After the AED analyzes and/or shocks, and you have that 2-minute timer, you're going to continue doing hands-only CPR. So now let's put this whole thing together and make sure that we get it down. All right. Hey, are you okay? No response. I need you in the gray to call 911. I need you in the black to get the AED and come back. It's in the main office. I'm going to start with hands-only CPR.
Remove clothes from patient's chest. Peel white pads from gray plastic case. Attach pads to bare skin exactly as shown.
Notice that I am not stopping and that he is putting the AED pads on around me while I continue pumping the blood.
Peel white pad. Stay clear of patient.
Stand clear.
Heart rhythm. Stay clear of patient. Analyzing heart rhythm.
10
Shock
seconds.
advised. Stay clear of patient. Press the flashing orange button now.
Stand clear, shocking patient.
Deliver, shock, shock delivered. Be sure emergency medical services have been called. It is safe to touch the patient. Begin CPR. For help with CPR, press the flashing blue button.
So we would want to check for response. If there's no response, we continue with CPR. If there is a response, we're going to keep the pads on. We're going to keep the AED on, because if the person goes unresponsive during that
1
2
minute,
minutes,
45 seconds
we're going to
until
jump right
analysis
back
will
in
resume.
and continue with hands-only CPR. So now let's talk about the Good Samaritan Law and how you're covered. The Good Samaritan Law will cover you in regards to if you're helping someone in a medical emergency who can't help themselves. It's also known as Title 22. Title 22 was updated this past January with Senate Bill 658. 658 was pioneered by Racing Hearts and El Camino Hospital. It makes it cheaper and easier to have AEDs in your facilities. Know that there's 5 things we want you to remember. First of all, there's no CPR AED certification needed. AEDs only need to be inspected quarterly, every 90 days. Then you need to have a sign that says how to use an AED posted next to your AED cabinet. You have to review this orientation every year, just like you're going through today. The fifth thing that you need to remember is your emergency preparedness plan. Again, it needs to be reviewed on an annual basis. It's about knowing to check for response. It's about knowing to call 911. It's about knowing to get an AED and come back, doing hands-only CPR. It's about gaining crowd control around the medical situation. You need to make sure that you escort your 911 responders in to the scene so they can get a quick response. Remove all bystanders away from that medical situation. Make sure that you have multiple people helping out so you can relieve someone who's tired. And again, review all this on a yearly basis. On behalf of Racing Hearts, we are empowering you to save lives with AEDs. We want you to be able to help someone who can't help themselves. Because again, sudden cardiac arrest can happen to anyone at any time. Thank you.